In the previous lecture, we have studied, in fact, an important theorem which is called theorem of interchangeability of total time derivative d dt and the partial coordinate derivative. Now, in this lecture, we are going to, in fact, study a very important theorem which is also used in Lagrangian formulation, particularly in deduction of the Lagrange equation of motion from D'Alembert's principle. This theorem is known as theorem of quadratic nature of kinetic energy. So first of all, we will state this theorem and after that we will prove it. So for your convenience, I am just writing the statement of the theorem. What this theorem states, I am just writing it. A statement of this theorem. In fact, this theorem states that the kinetic energy of a system, I am just writing it first of all, the kinetic energy of a system, the kinetic energy of a system is in general a quadratic function. A quadratic function of generalized velocity velocities and in particular a homogeneous quadratic function of generalized velocities. When kinetic energy is independent of time. What the statement says? In fact, the statement says that the kinetic energy of a system is in general. It means in general means when there is no restriction, as you see in the last of the statement, there is a condition. that kinetic energy is independent of time. But if there is no restriction, no condition imposed on the value of kinetic energy, that is called the general case. In that condition, the kinetic energy of a system is in fact a quadratic function of generalized velocity. But if kinetic energy is time independent, in that condition it is again quadratic function of generalized velocity, but not only quadratic function, but homogeneous quadratic function of generalized velocity. This is the statement. This statement will be very clear to you will completely understood what this statement says when we will just prove it, because in the proof there will be we will get a mathematical expression, and that mathematical expression will explain what does the meaning, what are the meaning of in general quadratic function of generalized velocity or homogeneous quadratic function of generalized velocity. So after proof, this statement will be very clear to you. So let us prove this theorem. In fact, proof of this theorem will be started from the very basic definition of kinetic energy in classical mechanics. We know in Newtonian mechanics or in classical mechanics how the kinetic energy of a system is defined. Let us consider, in fact, there is a system having n particles. There is a system which contains, in fact, n particles. These are particles and its number is n. If we want to define the kinetic energy of this system, what will be our technique? Our technique will be simply adding the kinetic energy of each particle of the system. So let us consider an ith particle. Suppose this is an ith particle of this system and Vi is its velocity. Vi is its velocity. Then kinetic energy of ith particle. Kinetic energy of ith particle will be what? We know this kinetic energy will be half mi. Here mi is the mass of the ith particle times Vi square. And we also know that this Vi square may be written as Vi dot Vi. And how we define in fact Vi? This is Mi. In fact, Vi is defined as dRi by dt. So this will be dRi by dt and dRi by dt. This is just definition of velocity in Cartesian coordinate. And in dot symbol, what we will write it? We will write it half mi Ri dot Ri dot. This is in fact kinetic energy of an ith particle of our system. But we have to define the kinetic energy of our system. So let us take the summation of this expression. You will get the kinetic energy of the system. So kinetic energy of the system. What will be its kinetic energy? We denote the kinetic energy of the system by the symbol T, and you know this will be simply half mi ri dot ri dot. See seriously, here there is ri dot, which represents in fact velocity Vi, and the limit of summation will be I equal to 1 to n. Here n is the number of particles in the system. Now we have defined the kinetic energy of our system, and now we have to express this kinetic energy in fact in terms of the generalized velocity. This kinetic energy is defined here in Cartesian coordinate, but our aim is to express this kinetic energy in terms of generalized velocity. And for this, again our starting equation will be the transformation equation for a holonomic system. So now we have the transformation equation. Let us say for the ith particle Ri equal to what? This will be Ri of Q1, Q2, so on, Qf and T. You know this F is the degree of freedom of our system. F, this represents degrees of freedom of our system. Now, from this equation we can easily find, by following the rules of partial differentiation, the value of Ri dot. Therefore, Ri dot, we know Ri dot means what? This is dRi by dt. And what will be this dRi by dt? Let us see here. This will be del Ri by del Q1 dQ1 by dt plus del Ri by del Q2 dQ2 by dt. Plus so on, and plus del Ri by del Qf into dQf by dt, and plus del Ri by del T dt by dt. And this dQ1 by dt will be Q1 dot, this is Q2 dot, this is Qf dot. And so I am just leaving one step. You have already studied it in previous lectures. So the first f terms can be written in compact form by the use of sign of summation, and we write it, this is summation over k equal to 1 to f, and this will be del Ri by del Qk, and Qk dot plus del Ri by del T, because you know dt is 1, so our expression for Ri dot is this much. Say this is equation number 2. This is in fact expression for what? This is expression for Ri dot. Now, as I have told you that our purpose is to find the expression for kinetic energy in terms of generalized velocity, and here this is in fact the transformation equation for Cartesian velocity in Cartesian coordinate Ri dot and generalized velocity Qk dot. So making the use of equation 2 in equation 1, we can express the kinetic energy of the system in terms of generalized velocity. So using 2, in 1, what will be this T? This T is equal to summation over I half mi. I am just repeating first equation. This is mi Ri dot Ri dot. Now substitute here the values of Ri dot. So this is summation over I am just writing I, this runs from 1 to n, half mi, and you see in equation 2 that Ri dot is this much. So put at the place of Ri dot from equation 2, what we will put? This is summation over k del Ri by del Qk dot plus del Ri by del T. This is for Ri dot, and dot Ri dot, this Ri dot. So here I am writing dot. Now this index k is running index, and we may change it, but values of that new index will be same as that of k. So I am writing here summation over j. This j will also run from 1 to f, and so this will be summation over j del Ri. You can't change this I because this is a fixed index, and del qj dot plus del Ri by del T, del Ri by del T. Just one thing you have to understood here, that we can change this index k because this is a free index its value runs from 1 to f, and if we write j instead of k, the value does not change. So we may write it. This is just a mathematical technique to get the desired result. So now let us simplify this. Half is in fact a constant, so we may take it out of the sign of summation. So this is half summation over I. Summation over I, mi. And summation over k, summation over j, and now simplify this result. Here there is just a scalar product. This is a vector, this is another vector, and we have to take the scalar product. See here, there is a sign of dot. So we have to take a scalar product of this vector with this vector. Just take the scalar product. This is very simple. You can do it. This will. I have already written the sign of summation outside of this square bracket. So this will be del Ri, del Ri by del Qk dot del Ri by del Qj, del Ri by del Qj, and here is Qk dot and here is Qj dot. So this is Qk dot times Qj dot plus. Now we will take the dot product of this first term with the second term del Ri by del t. So what will be this? This will be del Ri by del Qk dot del Ri by del t, and here is Qk dot, so this will be Qk dot. I have taken the product of the first term with the both terms of the second factor. Now let us take the product with second term inside the first bracket, that is with del Ri by del t. So what will be the next term? This will be in fact plus del Ri by del t dot del Ri by del Qj, and here is Qj dot, so this will be Qj dot plus. Now this del Ri by del t will be multiplied by del Ri by del t. So this is del Ri by del t dot del Ri by del t. We have just simplified the above expression. Now see here, one thing here is remarkable. See that term in fact del Ri by del Qk dot del Ri by del t Qk dot and del Ri by del t dot this one. Since a scalar product is commutative, that is we know A dot B equals B dot A. A dot B equals B dot A. So, if we change the subscript J to K, which can be done because we know J and K are not different, both of them have values from 1 to F. So we can interchange J by K. It means these two terms will be same if we replace the J by K. Hence, we can write this expression as 1 over 2 summation over I summation K summation over I mi summation over J, and operate this summation on the first term this much. This is del Ri by del Qk dot del Ri by del Qj and Qk dot Qj dot and plus half summation over I mi. This is a common factor, half mi. And as I have told you, in the second and third term we can change the J to K. So here will be summation over K, and then both terms will be same, and so we may write it as 2 times of del Ri by del Qk dot del Ri by del T into Qk dot. I am just writing here Qk dot due to lack of space. I am just writing here Qk dot and plus the last term will be what? Summation over I half mi, and that is del Ri by del T dot del Ri by del T. That will be simply del Ri by del T square. See this expression. I am just now writing this expression in a particular fashion, and in that which term represents which, we will identify them. So this implies we can write it T equal to summation over K summation over J AKJ Qk dot Qj dot plus summation over K AK Qk dot and plus A. This is say equation number 3, where what these terms in fact refers. You may see the above expression and you can write the meaning of these coefficients AKJ, AK and A, where we have used these symbols for what? Where AKJ has been written at the place of see the above equation, summation over I half mi del Ri by del Qk dot del Ri by del Qj. In fact, this is AKJ. Say it is equation A, and AK. AK has been written in place of what? It is written in place of, see there, this is in at the place of half mi del Ri del Ri by del Qk dot del Ri by del T, and the quantity A has been written in place of what? It has been written in place of summation over I half mi del Ri by del T square. Say this is equation B, this is C of 4. So see this equation 3. This is in fact general expression for kinetic energy of a system. And what you see in this equation, see the first term, Qk dot and Qj dot, both are in fact components of generalized velocity. But if J is a different from K, then this is two different components of the generalized velocities, and along with it the expression contains these two terms too. Since there is a product of two velocity component, that is generalized velocity component, so this result shows that the kinetic energy in general is a quadratic function of generalized velocity. So equation 3 refers. Remember one thing, I am not imposing any condition. In that condition, the expression for kinetic energy will be same as defined in equation 3, and this equation refers what? It refers that T means kinetic energy. T in general is a quadratic function. Why quadratic? There is a product of two generalized velocity. Quadratic function of generalized velocities. Generalized velocities. But now let us impose a particular condition. The condition is that the time t is not explicitly involved in the expression for kinetic energy. It means if t is not explicitly involved in that condition, in fact del Ri by del t will be 0. It means what I want to say you, that our transformation equation, if our transformation equation is that Ri is equal to Ri Q1, Q2, so on Qm, but not T. See, this transformation equation does not contain T. It means Ri is not an explicit function of t. And if Ri is not an explicit function of t, what will be this del Ri by del t? This is 0. This will be 0. So you may say if Ri does not involve t, that is Ri is not an explicit function of t, then del Ri by del t will be 0. And so if del Ri by del t is 0, you may see that in this condition, see the expression for Ak and A. See here, del Ri by del t if is 0, then Ak will be 0, and if del Ri by del t is 0, then A is also 0. So in this condition, when time is not explicitly existed in this transformation equation, then del Ri by del t will be 0, and hence in that very condition Ak is equal to 0, and simultaneously A is also equal to 0. And thus, if these two terms are 0, then what will be the expression for kinetic energy? See equation 3. Then the expression for kinetic energy will be what? This will be summation over k, summation over j. You may use single sign summation, and both of the limits will be mentioned on it. We can write also in that manner. And this will be C equation 3. This is Akj Qk dot Qj dot. What you see from this equation? Now, this equation tells us that T is a homogeneous function of generalized velocity. This, in fact, equation implies that kinetic energy is a homogeneous kinetic energy is a homogeneous quadratic quadratic expression of generalized velocities. Generalized velocity. And this was the statement of our theorem. In general, kinetic energy is in fact a quadratic function of generalized velocity, but if time is not involved directly this transformation equation, or kinetic energy is independent of time, in that condition kinetic energy is in fact a homogeneous function or homogeneous expression of generalized velocity. So our theorem has been proved, and now, as I have told you, in deduction of the Lagrange equation of motion, or in general you may say in the study of Lagrangian formulation of mechanics, these three theorems have a great importance. We will use several times these theorems. So now we have studied all these three theorems, and after that we will study the D'Alembert principle first, and on the basis of that D'Alembert principle we will then derive the Lagrange equation. So this is all about the important theorems in Lagrangian formulation of mechanics, and that's all for today. Hope you will watch the lecture very seriously, and I say you, when you will go through the lecture step by step, everything will be clear to you.